Radar, and we're welcoming you today to the webinar, Make Money and Beat the Competition with Property Radar's Foreclosure Search and Trustee Sale Schedule, our upgraded modules from Foreclosure Radar. Now I'd like to introduce you to your elite Property Radar trainer, Dan Butterfield. And we'll take a look at Dan's bio here in the next slide. Dan is actually one of our most well-versed customers and also an elite Property Radar trainer, very intimately familiar with Foreclosure Radar, and understands quite closely the differences between Foreclosure Radar and Property Radar and the significance of those improvements in the new software. Dan has quite a bit of experience in training and buy, fix, flip investments, and you can see a little bit about his bio here today. So we're very honored to have Dan speak with all of you on a very much of an investor-to-investor level. I also want to let you know we'll be answering questions as we go along. I might share them with the audience, or we'll save them for the end. And if we're all really good, we'll get done in about 30 minutes on very good information, and please feel free to ask any questions at any time. And with that, I'll hand it over to Dan.
Okay, great. Thank you, Colleen. Appreciate the introduction. And just a quick review of my background. I really come from the securities financial services industry and really only got into the real estate game fairly late in 2008, 2007, where really things changed fairly dramatically at that point, and started, the old buy low, sell adage, realized there were going to be some opportunities in real estate, so I began exploring trustee sales. I've been a big fan and user and even helping design some databases, so I quickly saw what Sean O'Toole and the team at Foreclosure Radar had developed and became a huge fan, and that's part of the reason I'm here today. So before we get into the presentation, I'm just going to toggle back real quickly to the beginning slide because I wanted to point something out. At the top here, you see a little looking glass with an icon that shows some colored maps. And I'm going to refer a little bit later on in my presentation to some layering tools that can overlay over the maps. And this just kind of gives you a little bit of a picture of how you can actually drill into some specific parcels and APNs and look at them using some heat mapping and some color coding. And I'll give that more context as we get into the presentation. So as we move in, we're going to talk about Property Radar today, the new evolution of Foreclosure Radar with some new tools, new software to really help you focus on some new opportunities. And really, for everybody who's been in and around the industry, we've seen some pretty dynamic events in the last few years, and we're looking at another change right now in the last several weeks, months really, as the real estate market starts to turn up and property values start to increase. We're kind of in an interesting supply-demand dynamic here. There's very little inventory that's available. A lot of the homeowners who had previously been underwater are starting to feel a little bit better about the market, but many of those who had to sell have already done so or faced trustee sale situations. And now many of them are just reluctant to put some of their properties on the market. And really you're also seeing on the demand side institutions and Wall Street firms and cash buyers coming in and scooping up properties. And there's this window that a lot of individuals are seeing starting to close with the cost of money being so cheap and interest rates being so low. The time is now. And really the time is now for Property Radar as the product has evolved from Foreclosure Radar. The new dynamic is looking now at all properties so real estate professionals can take advantage of opportunities and help create some of their own opportunities. And as an investor, I'm also looking for ways to get properties before they actually go to trustee sale. So Property Radar is covering all of California and covering all properties and really help you work faster and make more money and save time. So some of the new changes in the application you're going to notice, it's built on a new platform called HTML5. It's optimized for tablets and mobile devices and works extremely well in laptops and desktop computers. Over 100 search criteria, so you can find all sorts of properties in all sorts of ways by your area of specialization. There are heat maps. I showed you that little picture at the beginning with some color-coded heat maps. You can visualize neighborhoods, look at equity, debt, sales, listings, foreclosures, and turnover just using some of those heat maps. It's very cool. And lots of new ways to zero in on geography, laser focus on an address, or use some neat new geometry tools, these polygons and circles and so forth, to search within those boundaries. You can also still search by zips and cities and counties and a lot more. So overall, there's some filtering buttons and some new detail pages, which I'm a huge fan of. That is a big improvement on Foreclosure Radar. Gives you a lot more data to work with. And you also have the ability to use your own data that you've input into PropertyRadar that can display very efficiently in some of the search results, and I'll show you that. And then also, obviously, PropertyRadar will include all the functionality from Foreclosure Radar, so you're not losing anything. You're just expanding on what Foreclosure Radar used to be able to do and still can do for you in PropertyRadar. The first module we're going to look at is Foreclosure Search. Before we drill into the module, just a little bit of redefinition of terms. For current users of Foreclosure Radar, on the left-hand side, you'll be familiar with some of this terminology: pre-foreclosures, notice of default, an auction stage, so a notice of trustee sale has been filed, bank-owned, sold to third, and canceled. That's the same in PropertyRadar. Over on the right-hand side, you'll notice that there's some new definitions. And that's very helpful, very valuable for me, and I'm sure for quite a few users. You used to be able, in Foreclosure Radar, after about 120 days or so, if nothing happened, if it wasn't sold, didn't go to trustee sale, it would sort of drop off the radar, so to speak, and you can, what happened to that property? Well, you could click on Include Historical Records and kind of see that it's still there, but it is no longer necessarily something you want to focus on. And looking at PropertyRadar, it'll kind of tell you the why and what for. So a little bit more specifically, the notice of default stage, which you're familiar with if you're a user of Foreclosure Radar, again, notice of default has been filed. If it's transitioned to a trustee sale, you can search for it under notice of trustee sale filed. If it dropped off the radar because it was sold, and that happens, a short sale situation, you can still find it, and indeed it'll tell you this may not be an opportunity for you anymore because it was sold. Or if it's been more than 120 days or so and it hasn't moved on to another stage, it'll drop into the outdated category, and you can kind of, again, know a little bit more as to why and what for. Under the auction stage here and bank-owned and third-party, that's the same. But again, you've got a little more context. Sometimes you might have a small private party lender or just an individual lawyer who's acting as a trustee, and they don't know to report the data, and that's usually only 2 or 3% of cases, but it would show as unknown. If a bank-owned property REO has resold, you now can find it under bank resold. Or if a property did go to sale at the courthouse steps at a trustee sale, and it was resold within 6 months, it's going to be shown as third-party resold. So you can go in and kind of look at what your competitors have done or what you might have sold for. And more today, you're also seeing a lot of institutions who are buying at trustee sales, and many of them are not necessarily looking to fix and flip and resell. Many of them are actually warehousing these properties for a long-term hold, and you're going to see them as third-party held. You also will see some that have been canceled and resold, and again, that might be a short sale situation. And why did it drop off the radar? Well, it's no longer an opportunity because it was resold. And then the standard canceled could have been mom and dad came and helped out the kids and brought the loan current, or more than 1 year since the trustee sale was filed, it automatically has to be canceled. So you've got a lot of new kind of why and what for, as opposed to just historical records in PropertyRadar. So let's look at the Foreclosure Search module. It's the first one we're going to cover today. There's a new look and feel, and you can see that right away. If you look at the dashboard up at the top in this kind of black bar, that's where you can quickly navigate to every one of the individual modules. You can click directly into Foreclosure Search, Property Search, Trustee Sale Schedule, and so forth. And below the black bar, you'll notice a brand new dashboard. And this is fun. It's cool. What this is all the data that you've input into PropertyRadar. It's all of your data, and you can quickly drill into any one of these by clicking on a link. So, for example, if I have saved, in this case, I've saved 105 properties at 5 stars, so I really like these. If I just wanted to look quickly at these 105 properties, I can click directly here, and it will bring up a list view of all of those properties. I can search by tags. I've tagged a number of 10 properties at 7% plus return on investment. I can quickly look at those 10. I might have some saved searches down here where I've put in a lot of different search criteria, and it may bring up 200 or 300 properties, and I want to re-look at those from time to time. I save them, and I can quickly click and get directly into those. So today we're going to look at Foreclosure Search and then Trustee Sale Search. So let's go directly to that module and see how that has changed. One thing you'll notice right off the bat is there's a search window here, and there was a search window also in Foreclosure Radar. One of the interesting things here is that you can actually type in an individual property address. Before, you could just search by cities and counties, and it would bring up foreclosure data on a broader picture. Here, you can laser focus just by, if you think a property might be in foreclosure. In this example here, this 4639 Diane Lane, I just begin typing, and it's smart. It'll bring up all of the available results that are similar to that, and I can quickly click directly into that, and it will take me directly to the property details page for that property. So yes, indeed, it was in foreclosure. It's now bank owned, and it's listed for sale, and there's listing information here. And again, this property details page will give you a lot more data than you had previously seen in the details page in Foreclosure Radar. Little scroll bar down here can take you down to the transaction history, all of the open loans, the foreclosure notices, the notice of trustee sale details. All of this is right here, along with obviously value and loan balance and equity and all of the key data you need. So back to the Foreclosure Search window. Let's say I'm typing in another address, and I think this one might be in foreclosure, and I want to find it quickly, and there it is, Bennett Flat in Truckee. So I click directly on that property, and oh, what's this? A little alert message. It says the property is found, but it doesn't match your criteria. Okay, well, I'm searching in Foreclosure Search, so this one is not in foreclosure, but I still want to look at it. It's one, I was told was an interesting one to look at. Click OK. Okay, it'll take me directly into the property details page. And again, I can see all the valuation information and all the specific information on that property. So very cool. Even while you're in the Foreclosure Search, you can quickly click to properties that show in the database. So back to Foreclosure Search, most of the time you're not going to be laser focusing on one property. You're going to be looking at big picture and at an area or a neighborhood under different criteria. So you click on Search Options, and it's going to bring up a submenu here where you can start to refine your search criteria. The first being location. Most of the time you're going to want to type in a city or a county. Sometimes it might be just a specific zip code. It might be a specific street name that's in a neighborhood that you really like. You type all that in and then hit Map, and it's going to bring you in on that specific location. So in this case, I typed in Riverside. I want to see that city, and it's going to zero me in Riverside here. You're going to see something new here in PropertyRadar that you don't see in Foreclosure Radar. You've got some little toggle icons here. You're probably familiar with a zoom in and zoom out that exists in Foreclosure Radar, so you can do that. You've got a little map icon here, which allows you to switch from satellite view to map view. It's kind of neat if you want to see, is this a park, is this a hospital, what is it? You can look at satellite view. And then you have a little crosshairs icon. And if you actually click on that, what it's going to do, it's going to center and locate that map in your specific location. So if you're on a laptop or a desktop, it actually uses the browser window and finds where you are. So if I'm sitting here in the University of California in Riverside and I click in my laptop, it's going to center the map right here in this neighborhood around the University of California, Riverside. If you happen to be out in the field driving around with a client, let's say, and you're on a tablet device, same thing. You click on this little target icon and it will bring you in on that neighborhood, which can be very helpful in kind of looking at data in that neighborhood. There's a few other icons here. There's a little measuring bar below the crosshairs. And you can actually draw a line from point to point by clicking that little measuring tool. So if I'm sitting here at the university, I can drive up Chicago Avenue, make a click, turn down 3rd Street, click again, and it can actually tell me distance from point to point using that little measuring tool. This little layers 3 sheets of paper on top of each other. This can generate some very interesting superimposed maps on top of your map. So you can filter by county, by city, by zip code. You can actually see those little heat maps. If you want to see property values, second home, primary residence, equity, all of these little layering maps can be superimposed on top of your map. That functionality is also very central to the Explore module, which is a later module. But you can also use these layering tools to just get a little bit more context about the neighborhood when you're searching foreclosures in that neighborhood. And then over on the left-hand side here, you've got these little polygon circle geometry tabs here. When you click on those, you can actually draw these little diagrams, whether it be a circle or rectangle or multi-polygon in this case. So point, click, click, click. I can draw a polygon, draw another one. I'm under multi-polygon. And then if I hit search, it's going to bring up a list of those properties that are within these particular polygons. And that can be very helpful if you're searching in a neighborhood that you want to see 2 subdivisions within that neighborhood that are prime targets. You really like the properties in here. You think there's some opportunities. You can search using these little geometry tools. And I often will find, this is the hub, this is the center of town here, and I'll click circle, and I'll draw a radius, and then hit search, and then I'll see only those properties in my list view that are within those little geometrical parameters. So really cool way to filter and refine your search results, even within the foreclosure search function. And again, that's also something that's very useful in the Explorer module, which you can see in another webinar. So when you're in your foreclosure search, there are other tabs to help you refine your search. We were looking at location. Now we want to look at the foreclosure types. So you could look at everything, or if you want to just look at those properties that are in pre-foreclosure with the notice of default, you can click there. You can refine your search. If I wanted to see properties that are underwater, I'll set my parameters between 20 and 100% underwater. And maybe I've got an investor who I know wants to look at underwater properties, but he wants to buy some high value properties. I can put my value range between $1 million and $5 million, and then hit search, and I'm going to refine my results that way. Property details, I may want to just look at some single family homes, or if I'm looking for some cash flow investments, I might want to look at some multifamily or apartments. I can add those to my search criteria and then hit the search button. So again, you can refine your search under foreclosure search, and then when you're ready, only when you're ready, you hit the search button, and then it's going to bring up your results. And what's cool here, this looks a little bit familiar to Foreclosure Radar users. You have your map view, and I've only selected pre-foreclosures right here, so it shows my pre-foreclosures. I can quickly click into any one on the map. I can expand the map. Just click on the arrow icon here, and it'll bring out just the map view only. Or if I want to look at the list view here, there's also a little map icon over on the right here, and I can expand this just for list view. And what's new and kind of pretty cool here in the PropertyRadar application is this little filters button. Again, it's going to show my data here. So within this little search that I've done here, I actually have 4 that I've saved as favorites. So I've given them 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars. I can quickly click on that little star, and it'll bring up only my favorites. Or I just want to refine my search. Boy, I really only like these 10 here, and I want to click and bring up just 10 properties. I click this little icon here. And what's also nice is you have this little more action icon here. So maybe I just wanted to find these 10 properties that I really like, and I want to send them to an investment partner. I click this more action icon, and I can export this. I can send these via email. I can print them. It's a nice little tool that you have. There's also little binoculars over on the right-hand side. When you hit the little binoculars view, you can actually begin typing in a specific address. If you know the address, maybe you have 400 properties in view, and you know there's one in there that you want to look at. Type that address, and again, it'll bring up that specific address if it's there, or even by parcel number. If you type the APN in there, you can click on that if it's there, and it will bring up that specific view. The more details here, this is actually the summary view. Whichever property you click on, the first one by default will be highlighted, and more details takes you immediately into the property details page. There's also My Data, which displays in your search results. You can include your data or not have it there. I find it actually very useful to include my data because, again, it might be one where I've got a 5-star property and I've already at the research title status, and I've tagged it as 7% return on investment. I've taken photos. I want to be able to see that quickly, and I can add that to my list view. And the way you do that, there's this little icon up at the top, and you can go into your settings here under your list view columns and add whatever criteria you want for all of the types of searches you want to do. So my interest, status, tags, photos, that's under Foreclosure Search. You can do the same for Property Search and Trustee Sale Search as well. So that's a neat way, again, to use the Foreclosure Search and give you the data that you're looking for, refine the data, and help you get the results that you're looking for. So let's next move over to the Trustee Sale Schedule. And there's been a little bit of a name change for those familiar with the daily auction schedule in Foreclosure Radar. It's been renamed to Trustee Sale Schedule. PropertyRadar obviously covers all properties now in California. And so there are other types of auctions, REO auctions and so forth. And it was a little bit more specific to say Trustee Sale Search because those are indeed ones where there's a notice of trustee sale filed and they are actually going to foreclosure. So again, just a little bit more naming specificity here. Back to the main menu bar. Again, you're seeing your dashboard below that you can quickly click into any search. If you want to click, I'm ready to go right into the Trustee Sale Schedule and see what's coming here today or tomorrow or yesterday. You can click directly into Trustee Sale Schedule, and it's going to show your default county that you set in your settings, and it will default to today. But you can quickly go back to yesterday, move Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the following Monday, and look at any forthcoming auction, and click Search when you're ready. And so today, I'm looking at Alameda County today, and it's going to show me all of the properties that are scheduled for sale today. And I can see actually my little filtering bar, and this is a little bit different. Again, you can quickly move within the results you have here. So there's actually 71 properties that were scheduled to go to sale today in Alameda, and you can see the schedule is 12:30 here at the courthouse steps on Fallon Street in Oakland. There's a 12:30 sale. But I'm a here and now guy. I only want to look at what's happening and what's potentially what I can bid on right here today. So I want to only see the active sales. I can click directly into this active icon. I can see only what's going to sale or what potentially might go to sale that might get a bid here today. So you can refine your results within the Trustee Sale Schedule. You can even go up to search options and further refine your results. I want to see just active, for example. I click active. I can actually look more specifically. I want to see only first deeds of trust that are going to sale. I'm not interested in buying a second right now. There's opportunities in seconds, but you might want to just look at firsts. You can put a lender in. let's say, I know the REO agent in this county for Wells Fargo, and I want to be first to let him know that his property went bank-owned today. So you first and Wells Fargo only, can hit the search button once again, and it's going to filter and refine your results and show only what you're specifically looking for in the Trustee Sale Schedule. So pretty cool. The filtering buttons and the search options can really help you quickly refine your search and get the data and results that you're looking for in the Trustee Sale Schedule. Save you money, more convenient, saves you time. So there's some other modules that are available right now, the property search, the explore mode, and property details. I really encourage you to take a look at explore mode. You're going to find that is way cool. Nobody, Zillow, Trulia, nobody has anything like this. It's going to allow you, when you're out there in the field with your clients, to find everything you need to know on a property, clicking directly on an APN, and really drilling down and being able to find new ways to make money and get the results you need. There are also some more modules which are coming soon. There's a transfer search module, which will allow you to look at any sort of title change, a grant deed, any sort of quit claim, any sort of transfer search is going to show at a very granular level in transfer search. Any properties that are listed for sale, MLS type data is going to be available in listing search, and another module for comparables to let you look at similar properties in and around the property you might be focusing on. So PropertyRadar, lots of new stuff, great new user interface, and a great way to make more money and deliver results that you're looking for. Okay, so it's right now $49.95 per month, discount for car members, no contract, just on a month-to-month agreement. So that kind of wraps up today's presentation on Foreclosure Search and Trustee Sale Schedule. So are there any questions?
Thank you, Dan.
You're welcome.
And we'll take any questions if there are any in the audience this afternoon. Very thorough presentation on the webinar, Dan. We got it handled in 30 minutes, which I love, and we can all get back to using the software and other things for the afternoon. Looking for any questions? Okay, folks, and there are other webinars as well that go over those new modules that we really invite you to check out on our website at PropertyRadar.com, and we will sign up for the afternoon. Thank you so much, Dan Butterfield, and to all of you. Goodbye.
Great.